We turn now to the dramatic images showing a small plane crash right into the water in Florida. At least 2 people dead. The plane carrying relief supplies for hurricane victims, and it just missed multiple homes as it went down. Here's Ike Kajachi tonight.
Tonight, at least 2 people are dead after a plane packed with relief supplies for hurricane victims in Jamaica slammed into this neighborhood in Coral Springs, Florida.
We do have a confirmed plane down. It is submerged. It did not hit a home, but it took out part of the fence.
Look at the area right in the backyard there. You can see debris all over the backyard there.
The plane, a Beechcraft King Air, took off from Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport at 10:14 a.m. Minutes later, multiple security cameras catching it slamming into a lake just feet away from multiple homes.
The next thing we know is it just took a dive and went straight to the ground. No smoke, no sound. Just the plane that came in.
Fortunately, the plane did not strike any houses when it entered the water. It did strike some trees in the backyard of one of the homes.
Authorities say the plane was a relief flight bound for Montego Bay, Jamaica, packed with supplies for victims of Hurricane Melissa. David, the NTSB, FAA, and local authorities are investigating, and they're asking residents in the area to contact them if they find debris on their property. David?
Ike Kajachi tonight. Ike, thank you.
Yeah. It kind of feels like, somebody's trying to tell us something, man. I mean, and truly, it does feel kind of like a personal attack on me. But I joke a little bit when I say that. But around this time of year, of course, is when I do my traveling, because I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So, I don't have to go very far to see something beautiful or to visit something beautiful. So I do a lot of my traveling, this time of year, winter time. I go back to Indiana to get some snow under my feet, and of course I'd fly over to Jamaica, and hang out over in Jamaica if I had a chance to. And it really seems like, they're really trying their best to destroy this holiday season. I mean, all those people who would spend this holiday time over in Jamaica, they can't do that right now. And then, of course, the story about the UPS and the FedEx, grounding those planes because they, because of that accident or that plane crash over in Kentucky. Let's check out that story real quick, too. This is both plane related.
As NTSB investigators comb through wreckage of this deadly MD-11 cargo plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky, dozens of MD-11s now grounded by 2 of the nation's top parcel carriers, FedEx and UPS. A UPS spokesperson writing, "Nothing is more important to us than the safety of our employees and the communities we serve." This is the cockpit alert UPS pilots received as the grounding order was issued, telling them they are not to depart effective immediately. Boeing recommending the grounding out of an abundance of caution, and the FAA tonight making it official, issuing an emergency airworthiness directive requiring the planes to be inspected before they can fly again. It will likely take up to a year before investigators determine what ultimately caused this week's crash. Captain Bob Travis heads the UPS Pilots Union.
I'm confident that the NTSB, to include our accident investigators that are there with them, and UPS has their team on this as well, that they'll get to the bottom of this.
Video shows the plane's left engine catching fire during takeoff and detaching, killing 14 people, including the 3 crew members on board and others on the ground. A candlelight vigil held last night to honor the victims.
When I heard that a child died, that hit me hard. I choked up.
Jose, there are growing concerns tonight over grounding dozens of these cargo planes and if it could impact the holiday shipping season. Both FedEx and UPS say they are implementing contingency plans to limit disruptions. Jose?
We thank you for watching, right. And remember...
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. It truly feels like an attack on the holidays. I mean, from the government shutdown with the people not being able to get the EBT so they could afford, the food for Thanksgiving, which, obviously the government shutdown will be over here shortly, which is a great thing. But of course, then it leads you into the TSA situation Now with the TSA workers not coming in and all the airports, getting backed up really bad, and of course, if they would have kept the government shutdown going, that would have affected the holidays, Thanksgiving particularly, because that's only a week away or 2 weeks away. And then here's this, Jamaica destroyed, needing lots of help, and a plane headed over there to give them some of that needed help goes down in Florida. So, I mean, it really feels like it's an attack on the holidays, attack on the desire to travel, an attack on the necessities of life, or the necessities you need to have for like a good Thanksgiving if you're one of those people who are, gets EBT or food stamps or whatever the case may be. It's a rough time for a lot of people, and let's hope that the government shutdown being over is going to create some things that are going to help people get back to work. The TSA agents, all the federal workers are going to be able to get back to work. They're going to start getting that money that they're supposed to be getting so they can afford Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and what all these things that we do during the holidays. But I think this was somebody somewhere is trying to do some kind of reset, to get us to understand that there's way more important things than Black Friday and spending money on Thanksgiving dinner and spending money on Christmas presents and gifts and all these things, and traveling, telling us that traveling is not that important. I think it's really trying to tell us that it's time for a lot of us to sit down, telling a lot of us to sit down, to relax, because maybe we're moving too fast. Maybe we're doing too many things. Maybe we're spending money on the things that we shouldn't be spending money on. Those expensive presents that we're going to ship UPS or FedEx to across the country or whatever. I mean, I really, and of course it's created a bit of, fear in me of flying because, of course, like I said, I fly this time of year. I'm going to have to go to Indiana. I usually go to Indiana around this time of year anyway, but I have to go to Indiana. Of course, I always try to get out to Jamaica. And Indiana's got to happen, but Jamaica is just out of the cards. So, guys, it's man, you have to really be safe on what you're doing, and we have to check out these signs, man. I think it's really telling us to slow down. A lot of this is really trying to tell us to slow down, and we're doing too much, and we're spreading ourselves way too thin, and this is what happens when you do that. Situations where planes are falling out of the sky for no apparent reason. Engines are falling off planes because they're not being maintained correctly, because obviously they're taking all those planes off of the market or availability to fly because they know for a fact they haven't been maintained correctly, and they know that they have to over check those vehicles to see what's going on. So my final thought is that, man, we need to slow down. It's a lot going on right now. Thank God that they've decided to open the government back up, because honestly, I was had fears of flying because of that, not because of the planes falling out the sky, but just because of that, missing my flights or being stuck in TSA for 3 hours. I mean, that's was more of what I was thinking about. So just, guys, be careful, be vigilant. Try to enjoy the holidays with family, because family is hard to come by. Let's face it. It's you only get one family, and don't do things that would take you away from them. Okay. So last, before I get out of here, we lost a great man this morning. My cousin. He was more than a cousin. Thomas Newsom. He was more than a cousin. Let me say that first. Thomas and Wayne, his brother, were right there with me and my brother and my sister my whole life, ever since I can remember. I grew up with him. You know, for a long time, they lived around the corner from me, and when I was a kid, I spent 80% of my time with Thomas and Wayne. Over their house, they were at my house, more over their house, because Aunt Kathy was awesome and she let us, you know, be boys. But we lost him this morning, and I'm hurt because it feels like losing a brother. He was that important to me, and I'm just, you know, you realize that, you know, when you get to my age, and I'm over 50 years old, and you start losing people left and right. My friend Brent Roberts died a couple of weeks ago. I've friends, Antoine Perry. I've lost a lot of people over the last couple of days, and most I couldn't make it to their funerals or make it out to see them before they left. But I'm going to make it out to see Thomas if at all possible, because he was like a brother to me. And, you know, I'm praying for Aunt Kathy and Wayne and the whole Newsom family. We you know, it's a strong knit family, and I miss them very much. And I was hoping that I got to see Thomas again. I didn't. This comes out the blue for me. I didn't know that he was this sick. I didn't know it was even close to something like this. So it's painful. But you know, I'm gonna hold my head up high for Thomas and pray for Aunt Kathy and Wayne and all of his beautiful children, and hope that we can make it through this time the best way we can. So prayers will go out to the Newsom family, one of my favorite people in the world, Thomas Newsom Jr.